Hey guys, happy Friday. Hope all is well in your world. It is all well here at Enough Said Sports. We had a little bit of another tough night, unfortunately. We did hit on a couple of our bets. We got the Nets to cover the 3.5 barely, and then we got the over in the Jazz Clippers game there in the second game. And other than that, though, we didn't get anything good done last night, but we got a couple games tonight. We're gonna got an opportunity to bounce back, but this is going to end up being a game three preview of the Utah Jazz traveling to play the Los Angeles Clippers on tomorrow, June the 12th at 8:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround in this series. They're changing venues. The Los Angeles Clippers are 4-point favorites, and the over/under is 223.5 in this contest. So let's first talk about last night. Watched this game last night. We did, like I said earlier, we did hit the over, which was good. Very, very disappointed in the Clippers that they didn't get this thing done. They ended up taking the lead there in the fourth quarter on Reggie Jackson back-to-back threes. I thought Reggie Jackson played extremely well there. The Clippers did a much better job defensively in the second half than they did in the first half. Played a little bit of actually played a little bit of zone, which was quite effective against Donovan Mitchell. And it'll be interesting to see if they come out in zone here in Game 3 against Mitchell, because they seem like they switched back to some man-to-man defense, some conventional defense there in the fourth quarter, even though the zone really got them back in the game. And they did a phenomenal job fighting back after being down by as much as 20 points in the third. And they came all the way back and just couldn't finish the job there. They got up and ended up getting sloppy with the ball. Jazz go down and hit a three, take the lead back. And then the Clippers get sloppy with the ball. I believe they had 3 or 4 straight turnovers, 3 or 4 empty trips down, and they weren't able to get the job done, unfortunately. And they end up losing the game. Ultimately, they go down by 10. Then they make a rally back to get it within 5, and Donovan Mitchell kind of finishes them off, driving down the lane there with a layup off the glass. So. A lot of concerns in this series for me. I was really looking at the Clippers still in one of these games, ultimately on the road, to kind of put themselves in position to have a little bit of a longer series here. It's not looking good for them. I will say that because Mike Conley is probably going to come back in Game 3. The Jazz are doing all of this without Mike Conley, and he's a big-time difference maker for this team. I thought Kawhi really didn't play well last night. And Paul George, at some point, Paul George is going to have to step up. I'm going to have to call him out on this because, he's playing like they call him Pandemic P last year in the bubble because of how terrible he was playing instead of Playoff P. Right now he looks like Pandemic P. He's really struggling from the field, and he's just doesn't have his shot. He shot the ball, again, very, very poorly last night. He's got to play better than this. I mean, he has to find a way to play better. I thought some of the other players, like I said earlier, Reggie Jackson, he really stood out as somebody that played well. I think Luke Kennard really needs to get some more minutes for this team. I think Ty Lue really needs to look at that. Luke Kennard's shooting has been phenomenal. He's been able to knock down some contested threes and certainly the open threes. The Clippers had a lot of good looks last night. Kawhi did a really great job later in that game driving into the painted area and finding wide open guys, and they just didn't knock them down. Morris from 3, he really struggled last night, didn't get it done. He's hit or miss from downtown, and Paul George certainly didn't shoot it well, and you just had a couple of other guys in there that also didn't shoot it well. Really, the only person that shot it well was Reggie Jackson. He definitely gave them a winning performance last night, and they didn't get the job done. I thought Patrick Beverley did a nice job in this game on the defensive end as well. When they inserted him, he seemed to really bring some defensive intensity and kind of change the momentum of this game. And I like that as well, coming out of Patrick Beverly. That's more of what you expect out of somebody that's supposed to be a defensive stopper. Did a nice job last night. But going into this game, like I said earlier, I don't really particularly care for the fact that the Clippers are 4-point favorites in this one. I think it should be closer to a pick'em game. But with all that being said, I think momentum totally changes when you switch venues. And you see last night how the Milwaukee Bucks ended up, after they looked so terrible on the road, how they ended up actually pulling out a victory last night against the Brooklyn Nets. Seems like sometimes that change of venue makes a big difference, and I certainly think it's going to make a big difference for the role players. Like I said, Mike Conley's probably coming back in this game, so I don't know how that's going to really affect the way that the Jazz are going to play. I would imagine it would make them a little bit more formidable, but you never know how these things are, how he's going to come off of an injury and how he's going to blend back in there. I think the Los Angeles Clippers get this thing done. I'm hanging in there with them. Overall, I just think they're better. I just think if you get any kind of decent game out of Paul George, I think they can blow these guys off the floor. But you just haven't gotten any kind of decent game out of Paul George yet. I think the intensity for the Clippers is going to be there for them. I don't think they're going to clip in this one like they did last night. So I'll go with the Clippers -4, and I'll also stick with the over 223.5. I still feel that the over is the way to go in this series until they get it up a little bit higher. Maybe the odds makers move it up later in the series. But I certainly think they'll go over 223.5. They were able to go over pretty easily last night. Really wasn't a whole lot of suspense about that one. And so I got the Clippers -4, and the Clippers and Jazz over 223.5 total points. Thanks, guys, as always. Really appreciate all the support. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure you guys will have a lot of thoughts about this one. Let me know in the comments what you think about this pick. And we'll keep it rolling. I believe we got a couple games on tonight. We got the Philadelphia 76ers and the Hawks there in Game 3. And then we got the Phoenix Suns and Denver Nuggets tonight in Game 3. I did preview videos on both of those, so check out my picks on those. And I'll be also doing the NBA parlay of the day here shortly. So thanks, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.